Okay. So we're live. It's been a while. Just wait for people to get in here first. But we're going to do basically a season review of Nottingham Forest. So a dual subject, really. As we were saying before we even started, it's going to be difficult to fill the hour, I think. So yeah, anyone in the comments, please get your comments in and let us know that you're here, who you are, interact with whatever we're talking about, ask questions, all of that. But firstly, we've got guests today. So we've got to my left, Elliot. How you doing, Elliot?
Hello. Yeah, it's an honour to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, famous for my fact of the day segment of my vlogs, of course. So
Your football channel, and then it's. I've got many. I'll fill the hour with some if we run out of ideas.
Yes, of course. And we've got Dave Asprey here, another regular on my home vlogs. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually Dave Asparillo today.
All right.
In honor of our Player of the Year and also the finest smile the Premier League has ever seen. So it's lovely to be here with you two gentlemen. As for me, it's the pinnacle of my broadcasting career, whatever that might amount to. So it's lovely to be here, lads. A nice talk about Forest.
Your second appearance on one of my streams, isn't it? So
it is actually.
I say one of my streams. I stream every 5 months, so it's not really a running thing. But
but that makes it more of an event. It's a global happening that way, David, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, you got to look forward to it. We've got a few people in the chat already, actually. So, Mohammed, how you doing? Mohammed, I'm good.
Hi, Mohammed.
Hi, Mohammed.
Yeah. Zax FC, how you doing? Davey, seen you about many times.
I've spoken to him a few times on Twitter. Good guy.
Yeah. I finally gave him a follow back. He's been asking me for a while. We've got Laquan. You've been about quite a long time on my channel, so that's good. Kicks, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Rad Dad, don't know who this is, but he's here.
Oh, okay. I thought he'd be in your bedroom with you, but all right.
He may make an appearance at some point.
He's doing the hoovering, isn't he? Or is he doing a bit of gardening or something?
Probably. He's probably doing both at some point. Yeah. Got David. How you doing, David? You got a comment? Comment about you?
I do need to get a Cronulla Sharks beanie. I sort of talked to him. So I'm going to have to get on NRL merchandising and see if I can get one. You know, although I did say to him last weekend at Burnley that my team down under are South Sydney Rabbitohs, but given where they are in the NRL table at the moment, rock bottom, I might be better off with Cronulla who are top. But yeah, great David, great character. Met him the last couple of weeks and an absolute Aussie gentleman. So sending him best wishes.
Oh yeah, good to meet you actually, David. At the Chelsea game. He's at Burnley, like you say, so it's good for you to experience us in the flesh.
He was stood next to me and Dora at Burnley, and when Woody put us one up, David was like, he was off and running. It was just brilliant. He's a great character, and it was a pleasure to meet him last week.
Yeah, as I say, good to meet you, David. Got a few people coming in now, so thank you to everyone being here. So yeah, we're just going to have a brief resume, really, of the season. As I said at the start, it's been quite a dull season. So there's not much. I'm struggling to think to talk about. But yeah, I think we'll start with like an overview, really. So take it in turns. Elliot, how would you sum up this season from your point of view? What would you say?
Like this.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
The amount of sighing we have done over this season is I've never experienced anything like it. It's just like every single away match we're just like, oh, not again, another set piece, yada yada. But this is actually the first season that I've been to every single home match, including the cups, which is which is great for me. I've met so many really nice friends on like Twitter and things who are very happy to come with me. So it's great to be part of this Forest community at long last. But it wasn't like last season. Last season we were housing 1-0s. This season we're losing them 3-2. So it's just been one of those just sort of really massive slog of a season, really. But I'm glad we've got over the dotted line.
Yes, that's very, very good summary, actually. Dave, are you the same?
I'm mirroring Elliot. For me, it was an endurance test, and we stayed the course just about. The team just about stayed the course, and us as supporters and lovers of this great football club, we just about stayed the course. I think not a season with a particular amount of glory attached to it, not a season of great achievement, but we're still in the Premier League. And I think I look back to the start of the season where I did a few shows and different things, different places here and there. And I was of the view that where a lot of people were thinking there will be guaranteed movement up the table and progress, I was like, give me 17th any day of the week. I was always a bit skeptical that we were going to make that jump. I had in my mind Brighton's first either 3 or 4 seasons in this league, and Brighton clung on. I think there was 15th, 17th, 16th, 17th, something like that, first 4 seasons, right? Clung on and just made sure that they were a Premier League team from at the end of that season going into the next. And then they were like the butterfly from the chrysalis, Brighton. And I've always felt that Forest are going to have to pay their dues, and we have royally paid some dues this season. My overriding feeling at Burnley last week was after the joy, if you like, of that one particular match where we played some really good football, scored a couple of nice goals, could have had a lot more. It was like, thank God that's done. And thank goodness we are now where we are, moving on to next season. Not a lot of fun in many ways, but, you know, the idea is it wasn't that much fun this time. It might be a little bit more fun next time or the time after. But just staying in the division, mate. That's all I wanted.
Spring was nice.
Yeah.
we had a good, like, there's no better player in world football than Danilo in the spring. So
yeah.
He does become a different player, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of those. You'll get a racehorse trainer saying, heavy ground in November, December, and January now, but when it dries out in the spring, he comes into his own. We can hear his hooves rattle. And I think our lovely Danilo, and I actually met him this season, so it's kind of a high point. He's the nicest lad, smiley and jolly.
Yeah,
he does come into his own. You know, I mean, while the season as a piece has been a grind, as Elliot alludes to, there have been some lads in our squad to really enjoy, and there have been some good moments, you know, but it has to get better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, as you said there, managing expectations is quite a big thing, because a lot of us were getting maybe a bit carried away in the summer, and some of the players that we were being linked with, and we were all getting a bit carried away. I mean, my dad said we'd come 10th in the summer. Didn't quite pay off, did it? But I think you've got a reason to be excited. I think you're allowed to be, but it's like, you know, I think we saw pretty quickly that wasn't going to be the case. And I think it does kind of come down to recruitment again, doesn't it? Like, that's scattergun approach, so to speak. And we may as well talk about it, because it's quite a big subject, how much we recruit and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, you know, Elliot, what do you think about how we approach signing players? Like, do you think it's chaos, or is there any kind of logic behind it?
It is chaos, but it can sometimes. You'd rather recruit heavily than rather like not spend at all. It was, I mean, obviously, of course, we stayed up last season, and we had Gary Neville complained that we cheated and we shouldn't have done it. But the thing is, we had to recruit the squad. But also, if you think about it, the last 4 few windows, we have signed 40 plus players, but we've also lost that many as well. Like some of these are like. I personally think some of the recruitment last season was like a plan B in case we did go down. I'm talking about the likes of Josh Bowl, Harry Toffolo, Lewis O'Brien, those types who were absolutely brilliant in the championship when we went up in the promotion season and we got them recruited. I was absolutely over the moon when we bought Harry Toffolo because I thought he was excellent against Brendan Jenner in the playoff final. He kept them very, very quiet. Yeah. This season, on the other hand, we have signed, some of them have been dodged, but look at the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, Murillo, and I'm going to slightly put Dominguez in there. I'm still sort of questioning him at the moment. But we have bought some good players, but I think it is also the case of we're now buying to potentially sell as a profit. So, in a nutshell, I'm glad we recruited the way we did. I disagree with some of what the Premier League has done to us, but it was one of those we had no choice in the matter.
True.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I can follow on from what Elliot has just so eloquently said, I mean, my start point is 5 loans. 5 loans got us up, right?
Yeah.
And them lads, those lads did us fantastic service. But they were never ours, right? And there had to come a point where Nottingham Forest had their own assets, right? My view with the recruitment policy was at the start of last season, going into our first season back in the Prem. I thought it started out with a lot of consideration to it. I think like Taiwo and getting Dean in on loan, and then some others that were made, Musa. Whatever, it started off thinking, hang on, there's some strategy to this. It's not, scattergun. It's not willy-nilly. But I think from the moment that Jesse came, right, which was it was almost like they wanted to make a statement. We're not in Forest and we're here, right? And I think the Jesse signing, it set the media's teeth on edge, and it was almost like, I liked it because it was a kind of like a middle digit to the media and the mainstream of football. Oh, no, he's a big 6 player. He can't play for a club like Nottingham Forest. Oh, who says? Where does it write that in the rules? And Jesse, bless him, wanted to come. And okay, I think Jesse was a bit unlucky because he played some good games. Like brilliant against Tottenham in the Carabao. If he'd not been injured United, if he'd not been injured against Manchester United, he'd probably played more of a part. Brilliant around the club as a socialite, if you like. But I think once the Lingard signing had been made, it became got a bit silly. It was almost like people as if they were playing FIFA or Actua Soccer or were Pro Evo or whatever. And I've always played. I played league football until I was 43, and I did it with my feet. I never did it like that. You know what I mean? And I think people's views about football. Forget gaming and all that. Look at what you're watching on a piece of grass with a football. That's what Clough said. This season, I think we have carried on cluster bombing a little bit, but boy, have we hit some targets. Callum Hudson-Odoi, an amazing piece of business. 3 million. The kid was wanted for 70 million at not that long back. I love Callum. Callum has been humble. He's worked hard. Yeah. He's come here and he said, I need to get my career back on track. And he's gone a long way to beginning that process, right? Murillo, all these other great scouting. Dougie Friedman never saw him. Brighton never saw him. 13 games for Corinthians. He's still only 21. That's a gem. That is a gem. We might not have him for much longer. Absolutely. He radiates fun. He plays in a fun way, in a non-fun position. He smiles. He's got great character. I absolutely adore the kid. I love all our lads. I think our lads as a group of young men are great representatives of our club. There isn't a bad egg amongst them, it doesn't seem to me. They're nice people. They're worth my support as human beings, right? Ola Aina has to be mentioned. An amazing piece of business. Ola can play right or left. Is skinning Kyle Walker not one of the iconic moments, not just for our club, but in football this season? It's Kyle Walker's a great player in my view. The best right back in the world for me. And Ola left him for dead. So there's Ola. In the fullness of time, Chris Wood has proved to be a very shrewd signing, which I certainly didn't think at the time. So, you can pick them out. Danilo, he has his up days and his down days, but he's vibrant. Willie Bolly, if Willie could not be injured so much, I think we got better when Willie came back into the side at the end of the season. So, yeah, there have been some duds. I mean, I might stick my neck out saying that there's one big dud that everybody recognises, and I think if you had anybody on the show, they would say that's one big dud. Not going to mention the guy's name, but everybody knows what I'm on about. My personal feeling is that he'll be the Woody of next season. So at the end of last season, at the end of last season, you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah.
He start playing's not too bad, to be fair, because I love the 9-dart challenge, right? So
I saw that.
At the end of last season, if anybody said about Chris Wood, 15 million wasted, this guy's finished past it. We're moving into next season, and Woody's integral. And my perverse notion is that player that we all know about is going to be really good next year. I've just got this funny feeling. I'll probably get clipped on and go, "Oh, do you remember when you about this guy?" And I just think he will come into himself with a close season, getting to know Nottingham better, understanding the culture. I think he's popular within the group. I think he'll settle with the pre-season, and he'll now come with less hyperbole, and that will help him, I think. So, it's not an unqualified success by a long chalk, but there have been some real good ones. Matt Sells, chuck him in.
Yeah,
I love him.
Right.
You've got to mention so.
Yeah,
do you know what, lads?
We don't mention keepers anymore just because of him.
And do you know, Elliot, you've hit the nail firmly on the head.
Exactly.
All the conversations, Elliot, finished the day Matt Sells went in goal. Nobody talked about Matt. Nobody talked about Oddie. Nobody talked about Wayne or Ethan Horvath or whoever. All that stopped. So Matt Sells, another excellent piece of business. A guy who's just about to probably become. Is he going to play in the Euros? I mean, we might see him there. You know what I mean? So
it depends if Courtois is Courtois injured? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
He'll play like a friendly or something.
Yeah. But I mean, some of the saves Sells he's made have been outstanding.
Yeah, I was also going to say on your sort of good conversation, if you can also remember that we were also like that with Ben Watson and Jack Colback back in the day. We were. And then Ben Watson under the Sabri season, he was, he worked really well, didn't he? So it's one of those things where you shouldn't just write players off after X amount of games. Just like give them some chances.
Do you know what I think? I think some players come in. And in this FIFA generation, they're not seen as like flash or glamorous or exotic. And, Jacko's a little red-headed northeastern lad. Ben Watson is like seen as just a journeyman footballer who happened to score a winning goal in an FA Cup final against the greatest club on earth. Right.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. And I think with a lot of these lads, when they come into Forest, there are very few that come in and hit the ground running straight away. They are like Murillo's a rarity, if you like. Morgan's a rarity. Morgan did it. I remember Morgan coming on at Everton last year with that cameo at Everton. It was like, "Whoa, wow, how good is this guy?" But by and large, it seems to me they need to take a little bit of time to bed in. You know what I mean? And Woody did it, and I think there are others that might do it. Dominguez might be one of those, as well. I think there's a good player there. I think a definite upgrade on Freuler. But the thing is, I think we're going to lose some. And we'll be back. What I would like is like back in the old days when I was I'm 60, so like when I was a lad, you could pretty much guarantee what a starting 11 in those days in the first division was going to be, and it was never going to deviate very much from that. Now there's so much turnover, and I think we've had too much turnover over in Forest. If definitely, as Nuno has alluded to, he wants a smaller, more manageable squad that is settled and not. Some tweaks here and there rather than overhaul. I'd be quite glad of that, really.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, to be honest. Listen to some of the comments.
I can't see the comments, so let's.
Someone's just saying that agreeing with your summary of
best summary of the season. Okay.
Yeah.
What was this? The sigh or Dave's monologue?
The sigh, I think.
Probably between
Both.
with Elliot Dave or Dave Elliot. We're all like one entity now, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention my while you were talking, I forgot to mention my weird fact about Jesse Lingard as well. He was the last person to score a free kick from us, although it was very heavily deflected twice. It was Blackburn away in the 4-1 victory in the League Cup. That was the last free kick, but I was there actually for that game. It was very heavily deflected. But 6,000 of us, and it was quite rare as a home member. I got to go to an away game, and I enjoyed it so much.
First game back, Elliot, after the World Cup, just before Christmas. 6,500 of us. Anybody going over Saddleworth?
Penalty. It was road. Yeah, that was evil. Yeah, they delayed the kickoff 15 minutes,
and then we basically tore him apart. Although, interestingly, that night, I took note of Adam Wharton. I remember him playing with his socks around his ankles, thinking, blimey, Blackburn have got a good kid there.
It's good, didn't
he? Yeah. Look at Adam Wharton now, so.
Yeah. On Instagram, we got loads of anger because we wouldn't play Gustavo Scarpa for a League Cup game, even though he was ineligible on the January the 1st. Yeah. I got so many trolls going, "You're getting relegated. No Scarpina, no party." It was just bonkers. That guy came third in our Player of the Season last season, believe it or not. Like, I mean, second Keylor Navas and then Morgan, but
I think it was more about the perceived potential of Scarf. I have to admit, I met him.
He's lovely, actually. Yeah,
I think he's super bright, super intelligent, beautiful English. I saw him. So we went to Blackburn, didn't we? On I think it was the 21st or the 23rd, something like that.
21st of December, around that. Yeah.
Scarpa arrived in this country on the 9th of December, I think. And his first night in this country was spent at Loughborough University in a friend.
I knew
it was minus 42 in Loughborough, and I came out the ground. Stoke had won 2-1 because they were further down the line getting ready to start the championship. And I came out. There was this really cool guy standing there with a hoodie on, and I went, "Oh, hello, Gustavo. How are you?" And he went, "Oh, and I said, are you skateboarding tomorrow?" And he went, "I'm looking for skateboard." I said, "And how are you finding your time in this country?" "Oh, it's great, the fans and everything. I'm very sorry about the weather." And he looked absolutely frozen.
Always look cold.
But just a lovely, lovely lad. I just think with him, everything happened a little bit too quickly. Great talent, though.
Yeah. Also, he was Morgan was playing in his position for most of the season, so there's that. I think we're about 22 minutes in, and we've barely discussed this season.
We'll just go with the flow. We'll go with the flow. As Kick says, please make sure you hit the like button, everybody. If you're here, subscribe to the channel. It'd be great. We've got Daw in here. How you doing, Daw?
Oh, Daw's here. Hello, Daw.
I don't know. It's the third best Forest channel. I think it is. Daw and Tour. Yeah. Behind me and Rad Dad. So
party's on, mate.
Absolutely.
Daw's tour doesn't have facts on it, so
David also saying I should do a plug for Daw on Tier. I think that's actually what it is called, I do.
If you saw him in the car on his way to away matches, he snore on tour because he's asleep most of the time, bless him.
We just not speculate. I think this might be the player that Dave was talking
about.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Possibly.
It might be from the man himself.
Yeah, would it be great? Ibris practicing his darts and watching rants and us two, Dave.
He's still there. Carry
on, Rads.
I will do. How you doing, gamer? Welcome.
Hi, Elliot. We need another Pierre Van Hooijdonk. What do I need to give him to you?
Yeah. Can you just find one for us?
Well, just go to Holland and go, "Is anyone called Pierre?" "Yes, me."
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Probably is. tell you what, this is more up to date than talking about Gustavo Scarpa, but it is kind of looking to the future more. And like I think a lot of us have seen that we might end up selling somebody this summer, which is frustrating. There's been reports with Hudson-Odoi recently, Gibbs White, Murillo. Someone's asking here.
I listened somewhere. We've really got to like spend and before. Sorry, we have to sell before the end of June, but then we can recruit quite heavily in July, which barely makes any sense. But if I was Marinakis, I'd probably like sell Murillo to Olympiacos for 50 million for a day and then buy him back. What happened?
I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't. Yeah, but these because I've seen people making comparisons about this, how we have got an awful lot of players like out on loan or that you could sell and probably get quite a lot of profit for as it is. And then we've let go of players like Felipe and Hennessy and Cuarte. Harry Arter, of course, got to be mentioned. Man, the myth, the legend. But you know, that's a lot of wages gone already, isn't it? And then like players that you could sell. So do we necessarily need to sell somebody? It depends how much we might have to make. But like, what's your take on it, Dave? Like, do you think we will sell somebody? Do we have to?
I don't know the fine details and the fine print of our financial position at the moment, but the impression I get is for me, as I left Burnley last weekend, I kind of thought either Morg or Murillo, right? Callum, I didn't think Callum would feature, but then, you know, credit to Callum, he's put himself in the shop window if Tottenham are interested. And if Tottenham want Callum off us, then they're going to have to pay more than the 3 million we paid for him. So I think the idea for Forest a while back was to be the sort of club like a Brentford or a Brighton, where you get players in, develop them and sell them for a lot more money than you actually got them in for. And I think Callum Hudson-Odoi, if he were to go to Tottenham, would be an example of Forest actually waking up and smelling the coffee at last. Personally, I mean, my view is that if we're going to lose, you know, one of our crown jewels, if you push me, I'd say Murillo in the position that he plays is a little easier to replace than Morg in the position that Morg plays. I personally think, I was on a show last night when I was the only Forest guy, and then I was on with the Luton guy and some other people, really, really nice people on this show. And I said, we did a team of the season of teams in the bottom half. So the likes of Solanke, Eze, Michael Elise, Ross Barkley, Anderson, Branthwaite, Pickford, you name it, the Castagna and Anthony Robinson, right? And Morgan got votes from all the other clubs on this panel that we're on, right? And we talked about Morgan. And my view is that Morgan is the reason more than any, and I might, you know, people might look at other players in the squad, but Morgan to me is the reason why we're still in the Premier League. He's the difference between us and the bottom three. And his, you know, if you look at his stats, great. You know, he had quite a lot of goal involvements. You know, Anthony, to be fair to Anthony, had quite a lot of. Anthony in stats, actually, look at Anthony's stats. Actually, the pair of them were both in the top 20 for assists, right? So, but I just think Morgan is becoming that all-round talismanic player that we've craved for so long. You know, for so many years, we never had a player that we could hitch our star to. This kid is, I think, what he does, Morgan. He plays. He ought to have a T-shirt on, lift his shirt every time he scores. Says, I know how much you lot all paid for me. I want to pay you all back more than you can imagine. He wants a responsibility. What he thinks, I'm sure he sits there and thinks, Nottingham Forest expect me to be the X Factor guy, to be the guy that makes everything happen, and I've got to do it to the best of my ability. Some days he tries too hard. Some days the flicks and the tricks don't work. But it being no doubt to what Morgan gives White, he gives the lot. He loves this club. You know, he gives the lot, even on good days and bad days. You know, Morgan's effort is never in doubt. And I think if we were to lose Morgan, it would be a bigger blow than if we were to lose Murillo or Callum, or, you know, I think it's either Morg, Murillo, or Callum. If we were to have to sell to protect us, the one thing I don't want, and I personally, I'm resigned.
I want to strengthen, not dismantle.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I don't want another points deduction because I've been embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
But would you take a 4-point deduction if we got to keep Murillo and Gibbs White?
No.
Okay.
I want the moral high ground, Elliot. I want people.
Well, everyone's getting points deducted anyway, apart from City. So.
yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Though, like, I was going to mention the FFP thing. It's still very much looming over us. I don't think we've heard the last of it, to be honest, which is a shame. But
I do think the good thing, though, gents, is if you look at the table at the end of the season, the fact that we put 6 points between ourselves and the bottom three said, okay, we were the 4th worst team by a long way, but we were like the 17th best, if you like, by a long way. And give us the 4 points back, it would never have been an issue. But it's just the idea of it being us. I want us to be squeaky clean, and you know, we mocked that lot down the road for so long, and then it kind of came back to bite us a bit. You know what I mean? So I just whatever we have to do, we need to start on 0, and we need at some point next season not to have any taken off. That's my view.
So review of the season is basically at the start of the season we wanted a nice, quiet, go about your business mid-table season, and come February, March, we are worried about games involving Luton.
Yes,
that's basically what the season's been, really. So next question.
Really, and this is no disrespect to Luton Town, but we're Nottingham Forest. And you'd like to think we had some rather bigger fish to fry than that, Luton Town. You know, you'd like to think we're double European champions. We've been league champions. We've won 4 league cups. Luton Town are a brilliantly run little club. Fantastic. But if it's a direct face-off between us and Luton Town, that's Nottingham Forest being dragged down. You know, not so much Luton Town being dragged up. And you know, it to me it was a bit shoddy, really, that we should have been in that situation. So, yeah.
I mean, without the deduction, we would have stayed up by 10 points, really. So
without the deduction, we'd still finish 17th, though, as well at the same time.
Exactly.
There are different viewpoints of the same thing, aren't there? You know what I mean? But I'm just glad we're still in it. We had 23 years without it. And I mean, there were some people actually saying, "Oh, it was much better in the Championship." Do me a favour, but I had 23 years of wanting to be in the top league, and I want to go back. Yeah, and we're going to be a Premier League. We've come through difficult second album syndrome. We got through that.
Yes,
you know, and I looked if Luton had stayed up, I would have had Luton to be bang last next year, bottom adrift. They would have found it really difficult because the novelty would have gone. You know, I mean, the City ground was a little bit flatter this year because the novelty had gone. And I thought at times like, this might hamstring us a bit, but it didn't. We got through it. So we might be into a slightly newer phase next year, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we saw, even though we were definitely the fourth worst team in the league, we did, minus the games against Luton, we played Burnley and Sheffield away and pretty, much outclassed them. So at least we managed to do that. And I know the home games at the start of the year, I think if we played them later on, it would have been a bit different because that was when we were assembling a squad still. And because
the away games against those three, we took 7 points. Yeah, and those 3 away games at the end of the season, given that we had the likes of City and Chelsea, who I thought we gave really good performances against in defeat, Yeah, go on,
Elliot.
Yeah, I've got, as you know, am I allowed to do my little pet peeve monologue now, just regarding some of the... my pet peeve regarding few pods and vlogs is what's known as the winnable game. Okay, so these are games are normally against, like bottom half clubs where people will say, "Oh, okay, we won't beat Chelsea, but we will beat Bournemouth, etc." Now, I'm going to be a little bit in people's faces here and say, regarding winnable games, we barely win them. If you look this season, we have beaten more teams in the top half of the table rather than the bottom half. and where we weren't even expected to win. I'm talking about like Aston Villa at home. They were absolutely on form, and I thought, okay, we haven't got a chance here. But we played 2-0 and we were brilliant. Chelsea away, nobody expected a 1-0 win there. But then you go to these teams and like, okay, this is winnable, and then we just end up not winning them. So it's usually a pet peeve of mine when somebody classes bottom half teams as winnable games, even though I'm sorry to say as well, but next season as well, teams are going to look at us and still think we're a soft touch. They're going to put a predicted 3 points next to them. So I say to everybody, why can't we do the same? Why can't we go to the likes of City, Arsenal, etc., who we have taken points off? And, stop going into games with defeatist attitudes. Go into them targeting the victory. I don't care how we do it. Don't care if it's a 1-0 with a controversial decision. Just go out and win these games. Don't just put an L next to them thinking we're going to lose. Because I guarantee you, teams are going to think the same about us. So we should be doing the same. Dave?
I agree with that pet peeve, mate. My view is every single one of 38 games is as difficult as the next.
Yes.
And if you start thinking it's complacence, it's only Luton Town, it's only Burnley, it's only Sheffield United and all that business, then you're going to come
Sheffield United nearly beat us at the start of the season. If it weren't for, remember McKenna and Worrell bashing into each other and Matt Turner bailing us out. Everyone forgot about that, but we could have lost that game.
I thought Sheffield United that night, Woody got us out of the hole. Sheffield United were better than us that night. And I think the games where you think you're going to win, you often come a cropper. Whereas we played City 4 times now. The 6-0, absolutely what it was. But the other 3, we've been credible in all those games. In fact, we scored, to my way of thinking, one of the greatest goals of all time against Manchester City last year.
All 11, we did,
all 11, 19 had a touch.
Yeah.
The mighty Rodri or the mighty Ruben Diaz put on his backside by Brennan and made it look stupid. Kyle Walker too slow to stop Woody at the far post. Bernardo Silva playing left back made it look like a bloke who'd never played football before. Erling Haaland gave up chasing Mangala, I think. Kevin De Bruyne looked like he was finished. Phil Foden was made to look stupid. The greatest goal. If City had scored that goal against us, they'd been showing it for hours on end. But that goal
they did this season with Haaland. They had loads of passes for that, and barely got a mention.
But I just think my view is if I was to be the manager of Nottingham Forest, and I heard some people saying that's an easy game, we should be winning that. I think next season we are the survivor that the promoted 3, Ipswich, Leicester, and either Leeds or Southampton, I will beat Forest.
Yes.
Like I thought this year, the survivor that everybody was targeting at the start of the season wasn't necessarily us. I thought it was Wolves. And everybody wrote Wolves off at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Because Lopetegui had just walked out the door. They were in a shambolic state. Gary O'Neill, he's not that good. Wolves stayed up with like 2 months to spare. And I would dearly love us to be in the same position that Wolves were in this season, next season. And I think we will be written off by a lot of people because Leicester, Ipswich, whichever one of them, and then the likes of Brentford and sort of Everton or whoever that are in that cluster, Fulham, Wolves themselves, will think, Forest. Everybody will see Forest as their most winnable game.
Yes.
And I think that is our gift next year.
But we're not being like destroyed by teams. We're losing by the odd goal. So
unlike last season, Elliot, the only demolition we've suffered was Fulham away.
Fulham,
that night where the wheels just fell off.
Maybe Villa 4-2 as well. Like they outclassed us that game as well.
First half. First half they did. I mean, we came back to 3-2 and we were. I mean, to me, worse before.
There's one team I'm absolutely desperate to finish above because they are punching like you wouldn't believe, and that team is Bournemouth. Yeah. Bournemouth always seem to beat us in very fortunate circumstances at the City ground. It's those like late 3-2s, but we were linked to Dominic Solanke as well at the beginning of the season, and all I saw in the comment section were their fans saying, "Why would he downgrade?" And that just really annoyed me. A team a third of our size going on like, oh, we are so better than the mighty Forest.
You know
I hate them.
I lived and worked and played football in Bournemouth for 28 years when I worked for British Aerospace.
Okay.
Right? So I left my second university, got a job in Bournemouth, went down there, right? And you know, the idea now, I mean, I know a lot of Bournemouth fans. They're great people, to be fair, but I like to go to Bournemouth, go into the little bowling green, and wipe the floor with them. But we never do.
Okay.
I always think whoever manages Bournemouth says we're much smaller than them. We're underdogs, whether they like it or not. I'd like Forest to go to Dean Court or have them at our place and make Bournemouth into be massive, red hot, nailed on favourites, right? Now Bournemouth are much bigger than us. We're just a little Nottingham Forest, and then knock them over. I think the Bournemouth hegemony over us annoys me because they almost say we beat Nottingham Forest because we've never won European Cups and we're much smaller than Nottingham Forest. Brentford do the same. Brighton do the same. Fulham do the same. And it'd be nice to put these upstarts in their place. Unfortunately, we're not at that point yet where we're good enough. Aston Villa went through it for a number of years where they were around the bottom.
Yeah.
So Villa had it. I just think my start point for us next season is to be next season's Wolves, to be safe with a couple of months to go and not even have to worry about it, having been written off at the start of the season, because we will be in everybody's relegation conversation next year. We'll be the first of the survivors to be mentioned, right? And I think that might work in our favour because it'll cut the hyperbole about us. It's all in the psychology for me.
Yeah, I think talking about next season, I think there's a big consensus that all the teams coming up are going to be a lot stronger than the ones that went down.
Oh yeah.
I think that's definitely true.
Absolutely.
You know, with Leicester coming back up, Ipswich, I don't really think any of us really know what to expect from Ipswich or Leeds or Southampton. I mean, obviously,
most of our players are now Premier League experience, so there's no room for naivety anymore like we used to have.
No.
Yeah, I think that showed this season as well. Actually, we had that extra bit of experience already. Definitely helped us out against those teams with less experience. So, yeah, I'm looking through some of the comments actually.
When's this podcast going to start? It's been 42 minutes.
I know, right? Yeah.
I'm kidding.
The time has flown by.
Yes. Actually, I saw a good question earlier on from this guy's a Leicester fan, so he's in here.
Question to all three: if you could resign a Forest player from the start when you came back up, who would it be?
Make him resign. Oh, resign.
I think.
Oh, resign.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So basically, if we could re-sign one of the players that left when we got promoted from that promoted team, who would it be? That's what he's asking.
Stonewall, silence, dead air.
That's difficult.
If push came to shove, it would be Jed Spence, but I don't think he'd be starting over Nico these days. I mean, Dave, you mentioned like if we said this time last season, if Chris Wood would get 15 goals, you'd laugh at. But at the same time, what if I told you this time last season, Nico would be starting over a World Cup winning right back? You'd find that baffling. If push came to shove, it would be Jed Spence, but like I say, he'd be like probably a bench player. But then again, Nico's quite good on the left as well at the same time. If you remember our victory against Liverpool, believe it or not, the left back was Nico Williams, and he was actually very good at keeping Salah quiet.
He was. Yeah. I want Brennan back. I miss Brennan. I love Brennan. You know,
I thought you meant the loan players.
Oh, the loan players.
The five loan players.
If Jed,
maybe Jim. I'm leaning towards Jimmy Gardner now.
Yeah, I am.
Because Everton fans, they absolutely love him. They love him there, and I thought James Gardner was absolutely brilliant against us in the home game when we were all freezing our off. But
I think
so. Yeah, I'm gonna just forget Jed Spence. Yeah, James Garner. He'd come back any day.
I think I'd probably go with James Garner as well. But I mean, if you could get Jed Spence as he was that season and get him to recreate it, maybe. but I'm with Elliot. I think Nico Williams has been terrific this season.
Yeah.
From not much expectation. It's almost like get the expectation off these lads, let them relax and let them give it their best, almost organically, right? I mean, I would have loved to be able to kind of bottle the best bits of Zinkernagel and get rid of the other bits of Zinkernagel. I thought Zinkernagel, when he was on it, you know, one of the. I mean, I tell you what, you know, and the ladies love Zinkernagel.
He's annoyingly handsome as well.
He is, you know, and he's just got that. He's got that Danish sort of artistic cool about him, you know. But I'm with Elliot. I watched Garner home and away, and I watched him in lots of games, and he's Jimmy Garner. He's a slight little lad. There's not much of him, but I think he's become a proper Premier League player this season. And you've got to give some credit to our three lads, Daichi, Woney, and Stoney, for helping him with that. So yeah. Jimmy Garner, I think.
Yeah.
Everton fans want Sean Dyche gone, actually, and like I'd probably take Sean Dyche as our next manager, because you know he knows the Forest way, he knows what he's doing, really. But it's up to him. Sorry, Raj, you were going to say something.
No, it's strangely Garner was the first player that came to mind as well when I saw that, because I just thought he was so good for us. I mean, that entire team was very special, but.
It had a lot of charm, that team.
Yeah, you're thinking about how it might fit in now.
But he also worked really well with Ryan Yates as well. You know, midfield. You know, midfield pairings are how the game's played these days. Like Rodri and De Bruyne, Garner and Yates. I know there's a massive difference, but if they've got the good chemistry there.
I think of the season of empty stadia when we finished 16th or 17th. James Garner was the shining light that season.
Yeah.
When
under those Houghton years. Yeah.
Oh, how have we spoken about Chris Houghton? How's that happened? Oh dear. Yes.
Move on then quickly. Yeah, we don't want to go back there.
People have actually made a lot of comments about this actually, and I think there's one name that we've all missed that a lot of people are saying: Bree Samba. Which is
Chris Bicknell. I know him. Hi, Chris. Bree Samba wasn't a lone player. That's why I didn't go for him. Otherwise, I'd love to.
They're saying Brennan. Very good shout. Again, for some reason, I just went to the loanees as well. For some reason,
he said. If you could resign anyway, would you go for Brennan or would you go for Bree?
It's tough, isn't it? Oh, it is a throwback. That's a real
Nicholas
throwback.
Dimitru. Another one I completely forgot.
Anyone remember him from quite a while back now?
Can I re-sign John Robertson, please? The greatest.
Even I'm not old enough to watch John Robertson. But I'd have loved John Robertson as well. But I got Andy Reid instead. So Chris comments.
Just quickly say Eve's in here. So hi Eve, how you doing?
Hi.
And I saw a comment here from Mark, and I think we probably ought to mention it. About mentioning Nuno. There's a lot of debate about Nuno at the moment, what his future is. So,
okay.
Do you think he should stay? Will he stay?
I want him to stay because if you can remember when he managed Wolverhampton Wanderers and he got all the creme de la creme of Portuguese talent, while Nottingham Forest got like the horrible sort of dregs. We're getting a person recruitment wise that's from Benfica, and obviously of course if that works out, then obviously of course Nuno is the guy to go to for that. So I would like to keep him. However, I don't think he'll be here at the end of the season, but it's one of those things we all want him to work. I'll back a manager until I have no confidence in him. I still have confidence in him, but obviously his hands tied behind his back this year with obviously, of course, this points deduction lark. And also this is yet to be his squad. He hasn't brought in any players of his own. He's had to work with what the recruitment team did over the last few seasons. So that's why I'm in the Nuno camp for now, just till I lose the confidence. But let's just see how well we recruit with this new Benfica guy, and just see if again we can get the creme de la creme of Portuguese players. Because I tell you, for one thing, that Rodrigo Ribeiro, I very much want to sign him. I've seen quite a fair bit of him, and I'm actually really impressed. I think he's going to be a star of the future. So hopefully we get him before anybody else does.
Yeah, I could just see Ribeiro in even a year's time just ripping it up for somebody who's technically better than us, and he hardly played a game for Forest. I mean, I never really got that signing, to be honest. Signing a youngster on loan, not even with the option to buy. So that, in terms of our recruitment, that is one that was a bit questionable.
That loan with option to buy is going to be very popular in this window. Because, as you know, in January's window was oddly quiet, and not just for us, for everybody. They are looking for this loan to buy thing. It's a new thing of theirs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. So, Dave, what do you think about Nuno?
My jury was out for quite a while. Okay, we had the Christmas bounce away at Newcastle, terrific. Brilliant at home to Manchester United, overwhelmed them really. 2-1 was flattering to Manchester United. We should have won 6 or 7 that night. And then I kind of thought, not so sure, is there much of a rapport between him and the fan base? But then creating a rapport like the previous guy had. I mean, the previous guy was a brilliant social animal. But I'm the last few weeks, I've begun to warm to Nuno, and my view is we start the season with him. You know, if his remit was to come in and keep us up, he's done that. We haven't been fantastic. I think we've hinted at better things and occasionally flattered to deceive. You know, where we've 2-1 up against Chelsea, got beat, played well against City, got beat. It's this recurring theme of the season of if we're going to review the season, set pieces and points thrown away from really good positions. If Forest had been able to manage games out far better than they have done, we wouldn't have been anywhere near the relegation zone. I think underneath we're a better team than the results and the standings have said. It's that fine margin, where we've lost the fine margins. We need to get to the point where we're going to get over the line, and whoever the opposition are, they're going to get pushed back. So my view is I want some stability. I want some continuity. I'd like us to be more under the radar. I'd like us to be almost unheralded. I'd like us to kind of be a little bit more anonymous and not be. I don't want so many column inches about us, whether it's off the field stuff or on. I want the communication and the speaking to be done by feet, heads, chests, footballs, and grass. That combination of factors to create our noise, not the other stuff. My view is let Nuno start with it. If you were at Burnley and you saw the social aspect of what was going on at the end of the game, there was a lot of love from the lads to the gaffer, and it seemed really, really good. It seemed at Crystal Palace last year, at the end of the greatest party this football club's ever known, at Palace, the party at the Palace, that, if you like, camaraderie and chemistry was not in evidence. It was at Burnley. Murillo got pushed forward. Harry Toffolo, I think, has been so improved this year and has come to be a real good member of our club. He got pushed forward. Morgan got pushed forward. The lads were taking it in turns. There was seemed like they were all together off the same page. Woody was in there, leadership, Willy Bolly leadership and all that. And I think I looked at it and I thought, there's something there. And that's down to Nuno. I think he starts the season. And then he the thing is, with our ownership, they are inhumanly impatient, right? I mean, I think life's about having patience at times. You're not going to. Everybody wants instant gratification in this modern world. Sometimes you have to work to get where you want to be, and my view is Forest are going to have to pay the dues to survive and then become an established club, a la Brighton or a la Brentford or whoever, right? But my view is we start with Nuno, give him a close season, let him, as Elliot says, put his stamp, apply his personality to the squad, and then see how we start from the get-go. If, say, at the end of October it's like patently not working, then there'll be a change. But my view is he's earned the start of the season and he's earned the close season. And I just felt the last 2 or 3 games, there was like, in the most basic terms, Nuno gives a wave and Nuno gives a wave. Right. So that bond between the off the pitch and the on the pitch and the sideline, I think was beginning to come. And I've warmed to him. It took me a while, but then I was kind of mourning the previous guy who I absolutely adored and will always adore. But we've had to move on, and I've warmed to Nuno. I thought at first he was a bit aloof and a bit sort of not really understanding what the fan base was about. But I've grown to like him. I tell you what, I absolutely loved after the Chelsea game, and Luton and Burnley have both lost, and it was okay, mathematically we could still go to Nuno when he was asked by Colin, "Well, you're as good as safe," and Nuno went, "No, we're not safe yet."
No, we not yet.
It was
my only impression of it.
It was a slightly theatrical reaction from him, but I like the fact that I'm not taking anything for granted. And we went to Burnley, and from the get-go, we were excellent. I mean, in a way, we're helped by the fact that that Burnley game seemed like it was a beacon on the horizon for so long. Thankfully, we got there. We were able to relax to a certain extent, and then within 76 seconds, we were able to relax completely. So I think he gets the gig to start the season. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You've also got to bear in mind that top 6 teams famously don't like playing Nuno's teams.
No, they don't.
Famously.
And according to the poll, he's the 7th sexiest manager in the league. So outside the top 6,
Well, there you go.
I don't fancy any of them if it helps.
No.
What better reason to keep him then? There you go. Yeah. That threw me out. That did. No,
but I think he's earned the chance. I think he's earned the chance. To be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it. I think no matter who it was that came in and replaced Cooper, they were always going to get a bit of unfair comparison. I think because I think if it was if we were replacing a manager we didn't like or just didn't really have any emotion for, it would have just been a normal appointment. But there was so much unrest that we replaced Cooper, or even if we thought yes we probably should do, I think we had to in the end. Yeah, we were always going to have to replace him because of how it had gone. But then it was like, okay, they're going to be under like double the amount of pressure, which is a bit unfair on him. And he's obviously a very different sort of character as well. It's just how he is. So I agree. I've warmed to him over time. I've had my doubts at times as well, but I think we're seeing something there, and I hope he can stay. Yeah.
We all want it to work. Every single Forest player and fan wants it to work, and let's hope it will be the case when we start the season again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agree with that.
Yeah. Just flew back from the UK back to Australia, and you guys are still talking and haven't started the podcast.
I said that 40 minutes. Yeah, so we've been about 58 minutes. Anything else on the agenda hasn't been
I think we've spoken quite well.
We've talked about like the past. Now let's talk about the future or something.
I think we've done it in patches.
Yeah,
we've done it in patches.
Yeah. So thing is, me and Dave are quite, monologue-y because we're sort of used to it. Like, like if you give us like a question, like what came first, the chicken or the egg or something, we'd end up talking like for a minute about evolution or something. Is it God or is it science, or maybe God used science? You never know.
I think I suffer from verbosity. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
We've got about 60 people in here, so thank you very much to everyone watching.
Okay.
Please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done that already, because it's just a nice thing to do, really. So do that. We'll talk a bit about this actual season, because obviously we've not got much longer left. I know it's weird, isn't it? We're doing a review and we're going to talk about this season. So Okay, we do. I think we should probably do like player of the season. So, Elliot, who would you pick as your player of the season for this year?
Okay, I'm definitely going for Murillo for this one because he has bailed us out so many times, and it's just been a pleasure to watch him all season. It's like looking at a supercar in Broxtowe or something like that. He's just like pure class, and I've just absolutely adored. Just the pure fact that he's come in at X amount of games, and then like the clearance from I can't remember who it was, but it was the Everton game, the
Right,
home
McNeil.
match where that clearance when he even like took it on the chin and injured himself. My mouth was just like that. I couldn't believe he did that, and it's just been such a pleasure to watch him all season. So it would be Gibbs White comes second place, but and obviously, of course, everybody's got their opinions, but for me, it is definitely 100% Murillo for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Dave, what about you?
I'm reversing the order. I just think Morgan is just I think he's the cornerstone of our side, Morgan. I just think he's taken that role on. Morgan gets it for me, but the gap between him and Murillo is almost microscopic. Murillo is one of the most fun players that Nottingham Forest have had for a long, long time. He's fun. Luton trying to score from 4 miles away. Tottenham, he took the shot at Tottenham from Luton. He hit it down the M1. He hit it that far, and Vicario was running back. Great moments. That I was at Crystal Palace, right? That Saturday tea time, low down in that
the 0-0,
yeah. And he set off on that run, and I went, "Go on, old lad. Go on, old lad. Go on, old lad." And it was like an arpeggio. It rose to a crescendo. If he'd have scored, all bets were up. Garnacho's overhead volley would have meant nothing, right? Iconic moments, stopping Mikel Antonio.
Yes.
The clearance off the line against Wolves where he kind of bent his head. The kid, it's this idea that the kid has like hardly played any professional football. And he's the asteroid. He's burst from nowhere.
But we all know he's only going to get better as well. So
yeah, he is.
And,
he is. And
like,
I think
if we are to sell him, I hope it's not for a Premier League side.
No, I don't want that.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know about that, but I've got to give it.
Are we doing our worst player of the season as well? Sorry,
we can do. We can do.
Yeah, my order is Morgan, Murillo, Ola. Ola gets a mention, and then Nico is an honourable mention. Matt Sells. They would be like my. But I've just got to give it to Morgan.
Matt Sells is the unsung hero of the season without a shadow of a doubt.
Absolutely.
I think Woody she deserves a shout as well. Honestly,
do you know what? That's a great shout. And I watched Forest Focus this week. Mikey Clark picked Chris Wood, and everybody on that panel nodded their heads. With Woody, let's think where he came from. At the end of last season, he was like, "Oh, what we got this guy for?" And he was on the end of so much opprobrium. Now he scored 14 or 15 goals. If he'd have played, he only played half a season basically. If he'd have played the full season, and he was brought in as a backup to Taiwo.
Yeah.
And I think not only with his play, but with his impact in the group as a leader, right? I think him and Willie Bolly are the two that are kind of seen as the elders of the tribe, if you like. And I think Woody is just really. Woody's a proper Nottingham Forest player now, and Woody has to be mentioned as well. I think
Yeah. Now Willie Bolly as well. Whenever he's played, he's been consistent,
calm. The calmest player we've got. Nothing phases him, and a brilliant tackler. He was so brilliant tackling one guy that the referee had to send him off to save everybody else from being humiliated by his brilliance of tackling and everybody else's. I mean,
that made me angry. That made me so angry, that decision.
A shocking decision. Shocking.
Yeah.
We won't talk about the refs too much because that's another subject altogether.
No.
We could do a whole stream on that. I think it's quite telling here though. Like we've mentioned multiple players that could be player of the year, and it shows that even though overall wasn't a very good season, there's clearly a lot of talent in this team.
There's a core of a side there.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that what we were all saying earlier, how we can make those steps, like Brighton have done, like Villa have done. It's clear talent in that squad.
Yeah.
Clearly got frailties. If you can just handle games a bit better, and keep it together and then add to it, it's clearly a team there and good players. And being as Elliot mentioned it, there's been plenty of bad players. So is there anyone that's been particularly disappointing for both of you? So Elliot, who would you say for that?
One is so bad that we had to play Matt Turner in goal a few times. So for me, yeah, Vlachodimos is, I'm sorry to say, he is my worst player of the season, because if you can't be ahead of Matt Turner between the sticks, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I have to agree, to be honest. He's definitely, I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, I did a little video about this not long ago, and he was in that top 5. So what would you say, Dave? There's quite a few options.
No, I'm not picking a worst player of the year. I don't want to lambast anybody. I love all our lads. When those lads pull on that Garibaldi red shirt, they get my love and they get my support. It's part of the bargain. Yeah. I'm not picking a worst player. No, I want to do that.
I agree. To be honest, I support all of our players. You know, even the ones that we don't think are doing as well. We can criticise them, but at the end of the day, we all want them to do well. Even Divock Origi, who had a lot of hatred towards, I still want him to do well.
With Divock Origi, right? They all think about the miss against Wolves, which, going back to Rodrigo Ribeiro, he put him in. He came on and played a really nice cameo, Rodrigo, that day. I mean, he only looks about 13, to be fair. Divock Origi, do people not want to remember the back heel volley to Nico setting up Callum's goal against West Ham? Because it was a piece of genius, right? So, every human being has a good moment and a bad moment. And I don't want to be...
Oh, I've had so many.
There are people who need to improve and can get better.
Yeah.
But, no, let's move on from that.
Yeah. No, I think you should focus more on what we were saying initially.
Yeah.
The fact there's clearly a lot of good players in this team. So that's what we should focus on and build it around, really. To
back up what I'm thinking, if you'd asked the question, David, this time last year, a lot of Nottingham Forest said, "Oh, Chris Wood is crap."
Yeah.
So we might see somebody now. I mean, on the subject of the goalkeepers, I would be moving Matt Turner on. I'd be moving Oddie on. Wayne's already gone. Wayne's been a good servant, here and there, but. I do think maybe we'll look for another goalkeeper, either to back Mats or for Mats to be number 2 to them. We were lucky last year. Kayla Navas, I thought was fantastic. Apart from the game at Brentford, where he was decidedly average, Kayla Navas. Kayla Navas' first appearance against Leeds. Within 10 minutes, he made an incredible save.
Remarkable.
And so we've been a little bit spoiled in recent times with Brees and Kayla, but. It sells he's good, and I do think there'll be another goalkeeper come in. But the Turner and Vlachodimos thing, I don't see those lads playing much.
Bit of a disaster, really, wasn't it? That the goalkeeper situation.
With Turner, I watched his first game for us at Arsenal, and he actually played really well. I think he had quite a good start. If you think about it, our start of the season kind of teased a little bit, because you kind of thought, our away performance is better. Won at Chelsea, played right at United, should have won there. Made Arsenal sweat towards the end. And then, kind of had a lot of the game at City. And you kind of thought, Forest's going to be much better. And Matt Turner was doing all right. But then the wheels came off, unfortunately, So, I think I'd like another goalkeeper to come in and for Vlachodimos and Turner to be...
That's again why Sells is my unsung hero of the season, because like I say, we're barely talking about him. He's doing his job, and he's doing it well. Yes, he makes mistakes. Even the greatest goalkeepers in the world make mistakes, but he sort of limited his mistakes, which is
World Cup winning goalkeeper threw one in the back of the net against Liverpool. Emi Martinez. But was he voted best goalkeeper in the world? you know. So.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'd definitely be keeping Sells as number one for me. And then you clearly need to get a backup because I don't think you can be keeping Turner and Vlash when they were signed to be first choice. I think that's the thing. We signed both of them not really knowing who was going to be first choice, and they ended up being not at all what we wanted. I mean, we wanted Dean Henderson to come back, for example, and other keepers. And it just all kind of fell apart, didn't it? The goalkeeper situation. So
there is one controversial moment of the season which is going to be forever debated, and we would never know unless we were in the room where it actually happened. But if you can remember the Wolves away game, Steve Cooper dropped a lot of players for that, and he brought in the likes of Kouyaté, Yates, Matt Turner. He put Nico Williams in, but it was just a huge debate of why did he leave Sangare and Dominguez on the bench? Why did he leave other people on the bench? It's one of those things we'll never know. Where was there? Is there something like controversial here going off? Like why did he pick a side like that? I guess we'll never know unless we were actually there.
I just think it's because it
was Steve Cooper obviously, of course, went, okay, if this is my last game, I'm going to pick the people I like, which is obvious. But that's the only answer I can give.
That's what he did. Yeah. We'll end then we'll do our best moment of the season. We won't do worse because, as we said, let's not focus on that. So, what would be your best moment of the season? Because there has been, even in a tough season, there still has been good moments. So, Elliot,
all right, my best moment of the season was actually the Manchester United game where Morgan scored for two reasons. Number one, I was sat with my mum for that one, and she really, really enjoyed it. The other one was, a weird story is obviously Matt Turner gave the ball away for the Manchester United to score, and I turned to the Trent end, and I've never seen so much fury in my life go at a player. And then Morgan Gibbs White and the counter-attacking play that we did against Manchester United, that's when I thought everything will be all right again. We've got a great manager now. We're going to move up the table. We beat Manchester United. I mean, we never thought we'd say that 5 years ago, and we beat them very comfortably. So Morgan's goal to make it 2-1 at Manchester United was my moment of the year.
Yeah, that's right up there for me, to be honest. I think there's been some great moments, really. I mean, beating Chelsea away was very good, and Villa.
Going back on that point, the beginning of December, we lost to the likes of Everton, Fulham, Bournemouth, etc. All games that we all thought was winnable. But then you told me we beat Newcastle and Manchester United.
Exactly. That sums it up, doesn't it? I think the Fulham game as well was phenomenal. Really, the first half, complete contrast to the first game. But I mean, I think the Newcastle away game as well was particularly special. But I'll let Dave pick his because there's been good moments in a tough season. I think it's fair.
There've been great moments. I mean, 9 months or 10 months. It's a long period of time. There's a lot of life that you fit into that. I think that I agree with Elliot that the Manchester United game was a complete domination, and while we were berating Turner, he then made a save from which Forest broke brilliantly and scored a goal that, while not as good as the one we scored against Manchester City last season, carried a lot of credit to it. Yatesy picks it up, he drives, he sets Anthony up. Anthony cuts back inside, I think, laser ball past two United players. Then my little mate from Stafford, MGW, is sitting there and right, I'm going to bend that in. And I was in the Trent end and he hit it towards me. I'm smack centre of the goal in the Trent end, right, level with the crossbar. Great moment. Anthony Langer's winner at Chelsea, wonderful moment. Ola's goal against Villa early on. And Villa are a good side. Beautiful goal, right? Some of Murillo's tackles. Willy Bolly's tackle to set up the third goal for Callum at Sheffield United. A brilliant tackle, right?
Very good.
Lots of individual moments. But for me, I've got to go to Boxing Day because I have an hour to travel to Nottingham from where I live. I live near Stoke-on-Trent, so I have an hour to travel. I'm getting picked up to go to Newcastle at 6:30 in the morning. So I'm up at 4:30. I'm on the road at 5:30 to get into Nottingham at 6:30. And we get into Newcastle for a 12:30 kickoff on a Boxing Day, which is like such a a finger jabbed in the face for proper supporters who would like to spend Christmas with their families but want to go to football matches, right?
Those better comments about you, Dave.
Me and him have had some laughs. That day at the services, I think we were going to play. I don't know who it was. It was somebody down, I think, and they drove off and left me in the car park, and I didn't know where they'd gone. And I was like wandering around, like, where's the car? That was quite funny. But that moment was the realization at Newcastle, after Newcastle had taken the lead, and we thought, here we go again. And Newcastle had written us off. And then to go and do what we did there was just oh, wow, where's that come from moment. And for that guy to score a hat-trick there against them in that style, and for the na Chrissy Wood, and walking in a Chrissy Wood Wonderland or whatever, brilliant, right? Great for him, great for us, and the best Christmas present I could have had, and one I never expected. I mean, we were interviewed by Newcastle fan channels before the game, and none of us said that Forest would win that game. We all thought Newcastle, the way Newcastle were playing, the way Eddie and Jason Tyndall have set them up, we're not going to beat these. And second half, we gave them a lesson. We basically demonstrated to the world how slow and square Newcastle's back line is. Look how slow Dan Burn is. Look how slow Fabian Schär is. Look how slow they are. Anthony's threading balls through, and Woody, of all people, is skinning them, right? A bit like when Villa came, and we were, I don't know if the world's noticed, but Aston Villa play a really high line. You might want to take note, the rest of you, right? And then everybody realised, blimey, Forest have exposed Aston Villa to the whole world there, right? And I do agree. I thought the first half against Fulham was like, if you didn't know anything that had gone on around it, you thought, blimey, Nottingham Forest are one of the best teams in the world. It was a demolition. It was like, I thought it was the one half we've had since we come up, pretty much, where we looked at proper established Premier League team playing Premier League style football at Premier League tempo. So the Fulham first half was phenomenal, but it was just the day at Newcastle, and for personal reasons as well, because I suffered some, a couple of bereavements in these last few months, and I was still grieving when I went to Newcastle on Christmas Day. And for our lads to give me a tonic like that, it's got to be Boxing Day for me, really. That's my moment of the season. Absolutely.
I mean, just hopefully we can have more of those next season. Hopefully more than what we've had this season. Ideally, just less chaos would be nice. I think that's
that there, David, is exactly what we want. Less upheaval, less tumult. Let's just get on with it. Let's get under the radar. And if what I want from us next year is what Wolves have done this year. Written off. Nobody thought they'd be doing anything. They beat Manchester City. They beat Tottenham. Gary O'Neill's had to juggle his squad. He's had injuries and stuff, and they've stayed up without a care in the world. And I just got a funny feeling that we might be that next year. But I'll start off by saying, just give me 17th again. Stay in the league.
I think we will be that if we keep Taiwo fit. Now, if you go back to the last few seasons, look up all the wins. You've noticed that Taiwo's been in the team for the majority of those wins. Like, obviously, of course, I'm going to call it the John Joe Shelby era, but when Taiwo was injured for that, and then we're in an absolute free fall, and then he came back and scored all those goals. If we can just keep Taiwo fit, we would be absolutely fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely, Elliot, I could not agree more. I mean, with Taiwo, what I've seen when he came from Union Berlin, not Union as they say, Union Berlin, because it sounds like onion otherwise, doesn't it? I looked at his highlight reel and I thought, this guy is great with the ball played over the top for him to run on. Everything has to be in front of him. But last season, he came more and more to be that guy that, right, I'll hold it up and I'll play in Danilo around the corner, I'll play in Brennan around the corner, I'll play in Morgan around the corner. And Taiwo, I think through being coached and through his own hard work, became that player. It's just the lads on the treatment table too much. If we, as Elliot said, if we could have our number 2 has played just over half a season and scored 14 or 15 goals, right? It's a fantastic. If our number 1 guy could have added 14 or 15, if Taiwo could have done 14 or 15 to add to Woody's 14 or 15, our conversations now would have been immeasurably different. But I think if we could get Taiwo and keep him fit for a season, that's kind of almost like a new signing, really.
Yeah,
he's got.
But again, just look up over the last 2 seasons our wins and Google the team, and Taiwo is in it, and then he disappears again, and then we're in free fall, and then he comes back. We win again. It's if we can just keep that guy fit, I think we'll be fine next season.
Do you know what? I was just going to say, Taiwo and Woody together would be right. I mean, I was watching I don't know why. Before we started this show, I was watching the Bristol City penalty shootout again. Right? Who scored the penalty to put us through? Taiwo. So So I think it's a great point about Taiwo. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we'll leave it there. Actually, we've got a bit over. Actually, so 1 hour 20 of high-profile debate. Thank you. Thank you to everyone that's been in here. Very rare that I stream these days, so hopefully I can do more of them and get more, more guests on. So if I do another one, you're both welcome to come on again, of course.
Love to, mate. Love to.
But thanks for being here, everybody in the chat. Elliot, Dave, as well. We'll look forward to next season.
I presume you want one of my final facts before we finish.
We'll end on a fact. Yes.
Okay.
Go on.
The film Groundhog Day. Well, there is a Groundhog Day. There was a Groundhog Day musical in New York, and Bill Murray attended the first night of Groundhog Day the musical, and on the second and third night he went again. Look it up. Right, if you don't know what Groundhog Day is, you might not understand it, but
I don't fully know.
It's a true fact.
Yeah. Right.
Look it up.
Okay. Thank you again for that. Yeah, we look forward to your facts coming back on my vlogs next season again.
Oh, very much. Yeah, I've got many more.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, what a note to end on. Thank you, everyone.
Look it up.
I will. All right. Up the red.
All right, thanks.
You Reds.